Greetings everybody, welcome to G4G on YouTube. I am Napalm Dawn, and today we're going to talk about, again, some of the Black Order cards in Marvel Duel. So for those who are looking for Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux content, I'll probably be doing a video on that sometime this week, which will talk about some of the content that is being worked on for the release version, and I'm going to be touching base with Goofy on how Beta 4 is going and what you can expect once Beta 4 drops, like what features and everything. But today we're going to talk about some hits and some misfires with the Black Order. So if you're not familiar with it, or the last video that I did, the Black Order has hit Marvel Duel, and they don't unfortunately have a category yet, like Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers. But if you were to look at the Avengers, they have a keyword, and they are also searchable by themselves. If you were to look at the Black Order, they have a keyword, but unfortunately they do not have a category. Now, Hydra started off that way, S.H.I.E.L.D. started off that way, the Avengers did too, but I kind of thought that they would just update the style of how they were handling these cards, and they would get a category rather than, oh hey, it's a new faction. They're not really going to have a keyword at first, but eventually they'll get there. I kind of thought Marvel Duel was sort of learning as the game went along, and when they decided to make Hydra a actual legitimate faction that had synergy with itself, it got a searchable category on the left. Same thing for Avengers. Black Order definitely can stand to have its own category. Surprisingly, it doesn't. Now, there's also a little bit of a weird bug going on here. If you search for Black Order and you go to all, this is all you see. Cull Obsidian, Proxima, and Supergiant and Corvus. Now, Thanos is not tagged as Black Order, even though there's synergy with the Black Order and Thanos. But there's something missing here. You're looking around and you're like, hey, wait a minute. There's Ebony Persuasion. Where's Ebony Maw's representation? Well, there he is. You go to Ebony Maw by typing Ebony, and there he is. And he's Black Order. I don't know why he doesn't show up. So I'm actually doing relatively good on the Black Order. You'll see I have 3 Ebony Maws, 2 of the Persuasions, and then 3 Culls, 3 Supergiants, 2 Proximas, 4 Axes, no Corvus Glaives, and no Corvus Glaives of Corvus. So, doing pretty good over here, and 1 Mental Parasite. Now, Ebony Persuasion is the one that does the quick little hyper burst, and then you remove them. Mental Parasite is the one that changes a friendly character into the Black Order, and then it will give you the copy of Thanos. So I'm not too upset at missing Corvus. He does assemble a Black Order card, but he seems to have, antagonization with the Avengers, which isn't really a keyword you have to worry about too much. And the glaive is okay, but pretty expensive. The ones that are the big key now are Supergiant and Proxima. I have also made use of Ebony Maw, and that's what we're going to talk about today. 2 decks that I've worked some of the Black Order into and how I have fared with them. So, I'm going to go over to my Guards Ahoy deck. This is one that is specifically more blue Guardian cards, not to be confused with Guardians of the Galaxy. It's mostly about armor and guards. The end game is to have a high armor tune, get a Stormbreaker on there, and AoE the team down. I have begun to see more of this type of deck on the ladder recently than I have a while ago. So it's getting to be relatively popular. So what I did here is I made some modifications to my original guard deck. Here, Taskmaster left and Supergiant came in. The Proxima Sphere came in, and I believe Urgent Shrink is what left. I was not using the Bombardment or the Shackles, although Shackles are pretty solid because of the 10 armor. It's good for whoever's doing the tanking for you, but I believe it was Urgent Shrink and Taskmaster that I had there. In the Ebony Maw position, I used to have Baron, or I still have Baron Zemo, but Abigail Brand was moved in there for a little bit. She really was not doing a hell of a lot for me. I had her at 1 for the longest time, and then I finally got her at 2, and then very quickly went from 2 to 3. I thought I could use her a little bit, but she just never really panned out in the deck for me. So I did keep Zemo and the Hydra. Infiltration as sort of a endgame pop, but I worked in Supergiant, the Proxima Sphere, and Ebony Maw. The deal is to have Supergiant drop and then give her a ability to tank, and that is the Asgardian Shield. So what you do is you drop her, put the shield on her, which hopefully you reserve early in the game, and it says, after being attacked, deal 5 damage to all non-BO attack characters on both battlefields. The Black Order are basically mercenaries extraordinaire. They are the biggest assholes in the galaxy. They will attack anything in large part that isn't themselves, including your own team. So what you have to do is you have to play to their strengths and don't expose a weakness when you do it. Since this is all Guardians, and there is a support now in Ebony, and more on that in a moment, Supergiant will do no damage to your team. Yes, there are locked characters like Ulik and everything that might be on the field, but you're not going to run your attack characters for a long time. Anyway, do I have another Thanos? I don't think I have. No, just the one Thanos. Okay. So Supergiant is a safe tank for this deck because she generally will not be popping your own team. And you want to put the shield on her so that she actually takes the hits. One of the ways you can do it is Negabands from the Captain Marvel deck or the Asgardian Shield from the Thor deck. You could wait really, really far for a Taskmaster Shield or a Captain America Shield, but that is too late in the game to do that. The Asgardian Shield, you can get it on her as soon as she drops, and she's only a 3. She's a very effective 3, even with just the 5/5, but this proc is really good. This can do damage to early Egos and early Gladiators and start putting them on the defensive a little bit. If you get her to 2 stars, which is what I have her at, she does 10. At 4, she's doing 20. And then at 8, she's doing 40. So she's a 40-40 with 8 damage. This 2 right over here, being a 10-10 in an armor deck and dealing 10 damage is really, really solid. You just become a very retaliatory brick wall. Now, why Ebony Maw and the Spear are here is that when Ebony Maw drops, and he has a +1 action time, so he's going to fire twice, which means he's going to do the shield twice. The spear twice. He will deal 5 damage. If he gets a kill, he's going to power up Supergiant. So that's the deal. He is one of the only non-Guardian, non-real armor characters in the deck, and he's there to make Supergiant more and more powerful, to take more and more hits, to do more and more damage. Now, Negabands would also be good for Supergiant because then she will return random retaliatory damage to just, anybody on the field, not just attack characters, but that means getting rid of Spider-Man, or getting rid of Thor, or getting rid of Helia. Now, Helia is very big for the Frost Beast. Bewitching Spell, Hela's Deal are pretty good. Laufey never really comes into play that much, but he's there. Most Thor cards, other than Stormbreaker, are not that strong, but Thunder Fulmination is very good if you're trying to get that eventual punch out. Stormbreaker is the big key, so you don't really want to get rid of Thor. Spider-Man is really the meat of the deck, with Silk hopefully getting buffed up by a bunch of the Spider and Symbiote tokens that go along the way. I have Hands of the Dead in here to drop a Venom Mysterio Bomb if I want. 4 is not really the strongest Spider category for an armor deck. So I had Hands of the Dead in there before Ebony Maw, but now that I have Ebony Maw and the Spear in, I'm pretty much going to focus on that. But if I don't pull the Spear and I have Ebony, I could drop Hands of the Dead, keep Venom Mysterio in my hand, and what'll happen is Venom will get teleported in, teleport a Spider-Verse character to your battlefield, trigger their last word skill, trigger 3 times. So Venom kind of comes in as a mystic character. The 2 black symbiotes are summoned, and that's how Hands of the Dead will work out. But Silk is a major component. Spider-Man's mask can be a little bit. Not too much these support cards, but if you have to, Green Goblin and the Stun is in there for protection. And Great Responsibility is also good for a punch-out at the end. Hela, of course, has tons of good armor cards in here. So it's really hard to say who you would move out for Captain Marvel to get Negabands in there. Really, this is what makes up the armor deck. You do need a Stormbreaker. Silk is extremely powerful. Ghost and the Mysterio suit set up Silk. And over here for Hela, the Frost Beast is a key component, especially with Ho-Fun. Also, Hela's Deal is really good. Bewitching Spell is pretty solid. And Loki Scepter is decent too. So, you can make a heavily modified armor deck, and I suppose get the Captain Marvel kit in there, but I don't know that I would really recommend it. Here on my Black Widow Agent deck, not a Black Widow Intelligence deck, I moved in Proxima along with Proxima's Spear. Here, before taking action, deal 4 damage to non-Black Widow characters with the highest armor. This is where my failure was. I admit this was a bit of a mistake. I'm like, oh, okay. This is mostly a support deck. It's got a little bit of attack characters. She is anti-armor. I should be good over there until I realized, wait a minute, I do have armor. Damon Drawn is one of the linchpins of the deck. Red Guardian eventually comes in and becomes a later linchpin of the deck. So this was a bit stupid. That was a bit of a failure to move Proxima into my Mystic deck. I think she would maybe be better in a skill damage deck where you have Captain Marvel skill damage stuff like Kamala and everything. However, somebody's likely doing your tanking for you, and that is still a bit of an issue if you're going to have Proxima out on the field potentially smacking your own tank around. So, I wanted to show you how some of these modifications have fared. You will see here that Proxima is in my Widow deck, and this was really, really tight. Look at this. Ultron in between Proxima with a Spear and Black Widow with a Spear. This was really, really sexy, except for this down here, and I only came in 3rd. This one with Supergiant and Ebony Maw, and I came in 2nd. This one was really, really good. And this one worked out very well. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up as a replay. So we'll do the winner first, and then I will do what I consider the failure, where I just didn't really think, wait a minute, I'm potentially going to be popping one of my own characters if a guard is a linchpin to your deck, and Damon Drawn is, because every time an agent acts, Damon Drawn gets buffed, then Proxima is not a smart idea by any stretch. So we're going to put this at a slightly higher speed. I do believe pause has been fixed. Okay, pause has been fixed. So this is my armor deck. It's really designed to get out a lot of spiders, a lot of guards, hopefully drop a Silk who gets stronger as guards die. So I'm holding on to the shield there, as you saw. Alfonso over there is running a Devil Bomb, except he's out on the field, so it's not actually Devil Bomb, it's a visible devil. We get Asp early on, which is solid. And then I get a 2-star Asp at this point of the game, which is really, really solid. Early Silk, early Asp is a very knock-on-wood thing for this deck. It means you're off to a pretty decent start. I'm still holding on to the Asgardian Shield because I'm hopefully going to get Emily coming down. So I originally put a shield on my Chitauri soldier because I knew there was another shield in the store. And I'm going to pause it right over here for just a moment. So you see what's happening. I have a Koye. I have a Frost Giant. I would like to have a Frost Beast. I have a Gwen. I have the Asgardian Soldier simply to help Asp get her armor up. Asp and my other tank, the Chitauri, have the Asgardian Shackles. So that helps these two out. That's the status of the deck at the moment. We weather the attacks of a heavy crit damage Electro. We've got a lot of cards on the field. Big damage goes out. So here the Hofun comes in and the Spear comes in. I temporarily bring in a Dark Elf for a little bit of extra punch. I armor up Asp. And my field is mostly the same, except Ulik is gone and the Dark Elves are there, which continues to help Asp. Here's Alphonse again with a Gladiator and the Quake Bracers, so that's AoE. Devil Bomb was on the field, so it's Visible Devil, and he gets the better of me this time. The second time I fought Alphonse. And here is Ebony. And there is Supergiant. So now we're going to see things came into place literally instantly. Supergiant has a shield, so she's going to take hits along with the Chitauri. If your Supergiant gets powerful enough, you can continue getting more guards on the field by getting rid of Chitauri and leaving Supergiant as your only tank. Here, Ebony hopefully will get kills with the Spear to bump up Supergiant. That's going to be the goal. And Hofun really doesn't have a target. I should be putting Hofun on somebody like a Frost Beast or Silk, but I have not pulled them yet. If we look at the field, we've already killed off several characters. So here is a high damage Guardians deck. Guardians of the Galaxy. We get rid of Groot. We've got a heavy War Machine over there. There is the free damage against 3 attack characters. And again. So Supergiant has done 3 moves that have severely weakened Ego and Adam Warlock. Just enough that I get rid of Ego, and these two slug it out, and I win. So, That is why Supergiant is really, really strong. It's free real estate. I Supergiant Starburster, which is great. And I Ebony Maw Starburst, so things truly can't be going better at this point. Maybe getting rid of the Dark Elves, maybe getting rid of Okoye would be nice. I should have probably gotten rid of Chitauri soldiers and left Ebony as the only tank. Here I'm bringing Zemo over Dark Elves, which is a little bit better. However, Dark Elf could have cloned somebody else that was important. There's a lot of good people that the Dark Elves could have cloned, including Asp over here. This was a rough round because of the stuns. The stuns from Sandman really did kind of slow my progression of this battle down. However, Ebony is definitely taking hits. She has wiped out 2 of Tauta's attack characters, and we wind up with a relatively large amount of characters on the field. Big hit. Now, even though Supergiant was dead at the end over there, Ebony Maw buffed the hell out of himself, which just means it's a snowball. If Ebony is really buffed, whether or not Supergiant is, he'll just do more damage. The more damage he does, the more likely he is to proc his defeat skill, the more likely he is to buff Supergiant. So even if Supergiant is not on the field when he gets kills, he's still going to get value add on the next round. Wasn't really liking my store too much several times in a row over there, so I didn't pull down a hell of a lot of cards. A bunch of Hush Nows over there, and it's Alphonse again. This is the 3rd time I fought Alphonse. 2 Gladiators and an Ego going up against my Supergiant. 1 or 2 hits and his whole day is fucking wrecked. I was so thrilled that this round went the way it did, because I am getting really tired of Ego decks at this point. I understand they're making a bit of a comeback, even though they never really lost their meta position. I felt like the meta left them behind a little bit, but they are definitely still there. So getting rid of him and absolutely smacking his attack cards made me feel good. Here, I bring in a Taskmaster shield and I dump it on Supergiant. Now, Yugo, I had an easy round with earlier on, so I didn't know really what to expect with him here. Still got the Asgardian Shackles between him and Asp. I do an Escape the Void. Don't really get anything good out of it. So I'm sitting pretty. I like where I am in this. And then the card flip goes. I web snare the Ego, but he still has an impressive Gladiator and a pretty impressive Ego. Ebony Maw tries. Unfortunately, Supergiant went out very early, which really ruined my chance of weakening his Gladiator and his Ego. Ego gets a pretty solid kill. And just lives. So now we're in trouble over here. Yu-Gi-Oh! And I are tied. He's looking very, very strong. I need a Hydra Infiltration to make this super good. I should have maybe pulled the Goblin Glider and put it on Ebony, thinking, wait a minute, I don't really need to worry about buffing anybody anymore. But I get Stormbreaker, and I'm like, okay, this is it. And I'm going to put Thunder Fulmination on Supergiant so I do some better tanking. But things go to hell. Milano buffs them, but I get a web snare, and here is where things get bad. Moondragon fires against my Asp. And then here comes Ego with the Yaka Arrow at least 115 damage, which is going to be buffed by the Yaka Arrow, and takes out Asp before Stormbreaker fires. Also, Supergiant isn't taking a lot of hits, so this wasn't happening. Little bit of bad luck over there, and unfortunately I steal Hydra away from them, which doesn't help a hell of a lot. We kind of tried to make a valiant effort down the stretch over here. Didn't weaken the attack cards, and Yu-Gi-Oh wins. Heart of the cards, Yu-Gi-Oh! We are out of it. However, placed second place, and I did get what I wanted out of my combos. Supergiant did what Supergiant needed to do, and Ebony Maw did what Ebony Maw needed to do. Also, the spear worked out the way I wanted to. Here is one where I didn't do a smart idea. And I'm going to jump ahead towards the later part of this particular battle. The beginning doesn't have the most interesting stuff. It's towards the end when Proxima hits that I kind of went, oh, this plan was not that smart.
Hello? Anybody home?
Alright, so we are going to jump ahead to, let's see, alright, 7 of 12. Alright, so this is my Black Widow Mystic deck. It's primarily, it used to be skill damage of Black Widow, now it is Mystic and Black Widow. You can see that my Ulysses Claw has the spear. There is Mystic Scooby-Doo Velma with the Witch's Broom, as I like to call it. Captain Marvel's doing the tanking. My hit points are pretty solid. She's looking pretty good. Deathbird's doing good over there. Recluse has got the penetration bracers, which is going to be pretty solid against who I'm facing. So that sort of backfired over there. That Camertage came in between Ultron and Mystical Velma over here, but it still worked out. And ta-da, this guy is out of the picture. Nothing particularly fancy going on other than the spear. There's Red Guardian and there's Black Widow. So Recluse immediately gets shuffled out. We now have Ultron Black Widow, which is really big. It is a boner-inducing moment to get those two next to each other. Doctor Strange is up in the store over there. Pulling him down would be good. So I make some adjustments and I get Red Guardian in. So common, pretty common for my Mystical Black Widow. Ultron Black Widow is really good. Red Guardian's good. And you can see we're going up against an armor deck across from us. Asp and Stormbreaker are over there. Hela is over there. There goes the Stormbreaker. But we managed to survive a little bit. And then Red Guardian can't do it. And we get knocked down 13 points. Big, big hit. That's what Asp and Stormbreaker is supposed to do. Here, we see Proxima and Ultron. So I 2-star Ultron, which also is great. Deathbird goes away, so that Proxima comes in. Proxima is now next to Ultron, who is next to Black Widow. This is amazeballs to see this happen. This is very, very exciting. A Red Guardian shield is in the store, and a Black Widow is in the store. So watch what happens with Black Widow. Look at my Captain Marvel and my Red Guardian. So I blast the Frost team. Great. And then I blast my Captain Marvel. And then I blast my Red Guardian several times. However, I pop Hela. And I pop the Frost Beast a hell of a lot. But I have ruined my tanks. And now Hela's sitting over there with 93. And now 129, 133. She's alone. She mavericks. And that's it. All she wrote. So I can't say that that would have been any better had my guards lived. It wouldn't. However, I was watching that happen, of Proxima smacking Captain Marvel and Red Guardian, and I'm sitting there going, oh dear, that is not good by any stretch. And it seems like I've shifted, to the last couple guys here. I'm not really concerned with how the last two rounds work out. So there is one good example of the Black Order doing a good job, and there was one bad example of the Black Order doing a job. And why won't you let me get out of this replay? Okay. I've never actually tried to get out of a replay like this, because typically when I get out of the field, well, we'll just skip ahead like this. Okay, there we go. That should end it. I haven't really gotten to see other characters doing stuff after I'm dead. So apparently here's the final one. Big Armor versus Big Hela. Stormbreaker goes out, wipes out the Hela. Good for that. I think I would actually root for the Armor versus the fucking Hela. That's it. So let me know what you guys think below. Are you running any Black Order? Have you meshed Black Order into any decks yet? Or are you running a predominantly Black Order deck? Do you have enough cards to do a, a really good Black Order theme rather than meshing them into an existing deck like me? I think I'm going to make this change and get rid of Proxima and the Spear over here. It may help this deck fight the meta, to be honest. And it may help this deck fight a armor team like we saw. However, my own damage to my own key characters is not something I want to risk. So I think I'm going to swap this back the way it was. So typically here at the 3... Now, I could actually bring in Supergiant. Except I run some attack characters, so that's not a good idea over there. I believe I was running a couple Urgent Shrinks over here at the 5. I think I was running... I ran the Juggernaut helmet. That's what it was. Yep. Okay. I was happy to have a Juggernaut helmet, so I stuck it in the deck. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. So this is what my Widow deck is supposed to look like in the neutral. Crimson Gems help the early attackers, and then Juggernaut helmet will help the later attackers, except for the fact that I have never been able to drop a Juggernaut helmet yet. So I don't know what it's like to use it. I'm just excited to have it. So thanks, guys. Thanks for checking out some Black Order action here in Marvel Duel on G4G. I will see you guys later.